welcome to the Real Kiz podcast. And today with me, I have Monica, Dancing Mon Mon. She is a local community builder in the Bay Area and a well-known and beloved artist in all of North America. So give her a warm welcome. Hi, Monica.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy that you could join us today. I'm sure many of you are aware that there is a new app out on the market and it's called Book Your Dance, and it is trying to solve a problem that is in our Kizomba dance community. And the problem is that the artists are unhappy with the demands that are placed on them by organizers and attendees. They're being forced to social dance beyond their physical and mental health well-being. Some artists say that they're being used as amusement park rides, dance monkeys, and are being treated like objects. They're unable to drink water between dances and are afraid to say no, and in some cases are even being told by organizers not to say no. Meanwhile, the organizers are trying to make the attendees happy because they want to sell more tickets, because happy attendees means returning customers and an even larger attendance at their next year's event. The artists are trying to make the attendees happy to fill their classes and book privates and gain followers and fans. And they're also trying to make the organizers happy because they want to get booked again at that same festival, and they want to get booked at more festivals if they're known as, easy to work with. And people love them. The attendees are trying to get their money's worth in what they pay to attend the festival. So we have the transportation, the hotel, ticket, clothes, you gotta dress up for all the themes, dance shoes, food, and drinks. Attending a festival can become really costly. So the attendees are also trying to get what they've been sold through the advertising of the event, which is beautiful artists on the flyer, and this unspoken chance to meet and dance with them. And mostly it's women who are wanting to dance with the men. So now that we've outlined the problem, we're going to discuss it and then hopefully offer some better solutions than the Book Your Dance app. We'll see. What do you think, Monica?
Thanks for bringing this to light. I think there's a lot of sides to this. You did talk about the three main sides, which is the attendees, the organizers, and the artists. And I feel like all of these people are in, like you said, unspoken, unwritten contracts with one another without the expectations being super clear. Now, talking from the artist perspective, I've been on both sides of the coin. I would say, talking from the artist perspective, it's very important to set boundaries. I know that a lot of artists have riders in their contracts, for example, that say, I need food by a certain time. I need, this done and that done. I need my own bed. I need this, I need that. I think the social dancing aspect of it can be another element of the artist contract that can be negotiated. I do know that in salsa bachata, for example, some artists do charge an hourly rate to the organizer themselves to social dance. That's one thing. Kizomba, of course, is a different market altogether because there isn't as much money as salsa bachata. At least in North America, most organizers barely break even. So for them to have to pay additional money to artists to social dance is super hard. And from the artist perspective, I have definitely heard from a lot of male artists that it's very taxing for them to have to dance all night. There's an unspoken expectation from attendees, from women mainly. There is a dearth of leaders. There's an even bigger dearth of good leaders. So artists feel they have to make everyone happy. And I think this goes for female artists as well, because a lot of female artists lead. But it is extra hard on the male artists. But I think that it's important for artists to set forth their boundaries and advocate for themselves. When you and I talked about this topic, I think you mentioned, we're all adults here. We make choices. And one of those choices is that, we're in this industry and we have to adhere to certain expectations of the industry. But again, we can always redefine those expectations, set the right expectations based on what we can provide.
Yeah, those are all really, really good points. So the artists, they do have the power to advocate for themselves and set expectations. So why do you think they don't?
Supply and demand comes to mind. The reason is artists are expected to be a certain way. When an attendee thinks of an artist that they are hoping to see at a festival, Maybe they've not even met this person or seen this person before. What they're expecting is a whole package. An artist needs to be a great teacher. They need to be an amazing dancer. They need to maybe win some competitions. They need to be super sexy. This is absolutely like an expectation, an unspoken expectation of an artist. They should be visually appealing in their dance, like they have to have all the styling and pizzazz in their dance. They have to have showy moves. That's number 6. They should always be smiling and high energy and welcoming towards everyone. They need to exude this welcoming and kind energy. They need to dance nonstop during socials and parties, even sacrificing time with their friends or taking a break to drink water, like you said. And they have to do privates as well, because a lot of attendees also want privates. That's 10 things a person or a couple is supposed to do in one weekend. This is the expectation that people have of artists when they pay all this money to come to a festival. And some artists can do all that, and some artists cannot. I would say that even the artists that are able to do all this get burnt out very easily. And that's why you see solutions like Book My Dance come up. You see people talking on social media, artists talking on social media and saying, do you realize how difficult all of this is for me? These are all, to me, signs that this list of expectations is a lot for a person to bear. What we can do is set expectations and say, look, I'm a teacher. I enjoy teaching. I'm going to bring my best to the class. You can find me after class, ask questions, we'll nerd out. Social dancing is not my forte, maybe. Or someone can say, I love social dancing with beginners and I enjoy teaching. And that's what I bring. I'm not into super showy moves. I'm not into competitions, but this is what my focus is. This is what brings me joy, and this is what I bring to the table. However, the market is such that there's a scarcity of opportunity. When there's fewer jobs and so many more applicants, I think the employer, the organizer, is going to go for someone who can meet more of the qualifications. And that's the burden to bear. That's your cross to bear, right? As an artist, you can say, here's what I can give. Here's the qualifications that I can meet, and hire me if you think I'm a good fit. And I think that's where we need to go with this.
Yeah, expecting all those things from one person, or even one person expecting all those things from themselves and feeling the pressure of providing all those things like at one event, that's a lot. That seems really unrealistic. And yes, it is a sure path to disappointment and burnout because you can't make everyone happy. So yes, no wonder that it leads to disappointment and burnout because, these artists are human. So I think the artists, like you said, they need to decide on the limited number of things that they can provide. So they need to decide okay, what is my brand? Because my brand can't be everything. Who am I going to market myself as? Am I going to market myself as a great teacher? Or, this really flashy dancer who wins competitions? Or this really, great social dancer who enjoys social dancing with the attendees? And there are artists who do enjoy dancing with the attendees. I mean, there are artists who actually tell, people at the end of their class, hey, if you want to dance with me, ask me for a dance at the social. They're cool with that. And also I feel like the attendees need to decide on the top things that they value most from artists, because it's not fair for you to expect everything from one person. So what do you value in an artist? Do you value the teaching ability? Do you want to go to their workshops? Or do you like their dancing ability? Do you just enjoy watching them dance and watching their dance videos? Or, their social dancing capacity? Do you value that? And do you enjoy social dancing with them? Or is it, their friendliness and their good energy? Because there are artists who are, they're just incredibly friendly to everyone and they're always smiling and in a good mood, and they'll say hi to you. They have no idea who you are, but they'll say hi to you and they hug you, but they're not going to ask you to social dance, but they'll say hi to you and they'll give you a hug and they'll make you feel like you're their friend. But, just don't expect anything else from them. So I would say pick one or two, but you can't expect it all because this is not Build-A-Bear. You cannot design your perfect artist. These people already exist. They are who they are. Artists need to be real about what they can provide, and then attendees need to be real with themselves about what they value.
If we had Yelp reviews, we would, for artists, I think people would have a better idea of what to expect. And I guess what you say is right, that artists need to be clear about what their brand is about, right? In that way, attendees are not misled, you know. They're not paying hundreds and thousands of dollars, euros, what have you, to go to a spot to dance with one specific artist, and they never get to dance, see them even social dancing. That would be a very sad experience to have as an attendee. But at the same time, you know, if an artist is clear and saying, I love teaching, you know, come find me after class, we'll have a chat, you know, I need to take care of my body and my mind, so I won't be out social dancing. Okay, you've set expectations.
What exactly are the attendees expecting from the event? They need to know what their expectations are. So every time I go to a festival, I write down a list of what I would like to get out of it. And I call it my, I don't know, like my manifestations or things that I want. And I just like write it in my notes on my phone. I want to meet new people. I want to make new dance connections. I want to laugh and have fun and silly dances, you know, things like that. So I think the attendees, when they go to an event, they need to be clear about what they are trying to get out of that event, because they expect what they are sold. So the way that the event is marketed has an important factor on what the attendees expect from it. But these expectations should be made clear to avoid entitlement and then disappointment. Also, why do you think this whole fascination about dancing with artists exists? Why do people want to dance with artists?
Why do people want to take pictures with celebrities?
That is a great question. Why?
I think there's a tendency to put people on a pedestal. And I think you were talking about this recently on your social media as well. It's not because we see them as high worth, but it's because we may not value ourselves. For me, I have come to realize that I can go to a festival and have an amazing dance connection with someone that I've not even heard of. And I could miss out on that if I'm waiting around for hours, waiting to dance with like a big shot artist like Audi. Right? There's a long line for him, and he is very gracious when he social dances and comes out and dances with everyone and goes in the line. But you know, it could be hours. Instead, I could be out dancing and I might form a really amazing dance connection with someone else. I think what people feel when they see an artist on a flyer is they immediately think about what it would be like to dance with that person. Maybe they picture themselves as the dance partner or dance collaborator of that person, and feeling and looking like that. And that's the imagery that's in their mind when they think of this artist. They're not thinking about this artist as a person with their own flaws, with their own shortcomings, and with all of that they can offer as well, with their own feelings and own dreams and own priorities, right? They're not thinking about all of these things. They're like, I am paying for this. Unfortunately, you're not. You are paying for the experience of the festival, which includes dancing with people other than the artist, which includes water cooler talk, which includes workshops. All of these things could happen. And this is what you're signing up for when you say, I am going to a festival.
I think we should be very clear about what our ticket to the festival pays for. So first of all, it pays for the venue. So the literal place where the festival is held. And then it's paid for the workshops. So the workshops is definitely something that the artists are paid for 100% of the time. Well, we hope. I know, maybe not so much the female teachers, but the male teachers are definitely paid 100% of the time for the workshops. So yes, the workshops and the music, the DJs are also paid. Again, we hope. So you're paying for the venue, you're paying for the music, and you're paying for the classes. That's it. That is literally all that you can feel entitled for. You have entry to the venue. You know, if you have a ticket, yeah, you can be there. You're entitled to that. You are entitled to the music. You can hear the music that the DJ plays, and you can attend the workshops if you have the full pass. Those are the only things that you are entitled for at a dance festival, because these are the only things that you are paying for with your ticket.
I meant to ask you, when you create your list of manifestations, like you said, do you ever put down, I want to have a 1 hour dance with Audi. I want to have a 1 hour dance with Dwayne.
No, I don't.
No, no, because those are unrealistic expectations. But also, you are letting one or two people dictate your entire experience for a weekend that you're shelling out so much money for. I
Yeah.
think as attendees, we need to be responsible for our own experiences and not put all of this expectation on another person to make you happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder how many people have had the experience of dancing with this artist that they have really built up in their mind. And then after the dance, just like being a little disappointed and like that wasn't as great as I expected it to be, or that was just okay.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
had better dances. Has that ever happened to
Absolutely.
you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That has happened to me and talked about it, because when it happened to me, I was still newer in the scene. And I saw this one artist at a European festival and I really wanted to dance with him. And, I'd seen videos of this person. I really idolized how his musicality, he's not a super flashy dancer, but he's known for having really great musicality and like simple moves, like making a lot out of having very little in his repertoire. So this person I really wanted to dance with. And I found this person a couple of times. I was polite about it. And, second time when I asked him, he was like, and I was like, it's okay if you don't want to, that's okay, but he's like, yeah, no, let's go, that's fine. And then it gave me zero energy throughout the entire dance, was barely moving. And that's okay. Some people are huggers, but it wasn't hugging in the sense of like I'm here right with you and holding you and we're exchanging energy. It was more of like, why am I here? I'm gonna give the bare minimum that I can in this dance. And it was so disappointing. I really wanted to cry because it was my worst dance of the festival.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've definitely had those experiences. And I think over time I realized that I shouldn't have placed this much importance on that dance with this artist. Because we all have off days. We all have moments where we feel like, oh, this person, whoever it is, really wants to dance with me. I'm not feeling it, but if I keep saying no, they're going to feel bad. So I want to dance with them. And this is not just an artist speaking, right? This is a normal human being speaking and thinking, I don't want to disappoint this person. I don't want them to feel bad because of me. So I'm going to dance with them. And then you start dancing, you're like,
Yeah.
but you keep going. And then you're like, why did I do that? And then the other person feels it. And it's just disappointment all around, right? I think we need to normalize saying and accepting no without assigning judgment or meaning to it, without assigning personal worth to a no.
Yes. Absolutely. I think that's why consent workshops at festivals are so important. I remember when I went to Intrafusion Festival in Washington, D.C., the very first day I went to a consent workshops where they had us practicing saying no to each other in different ways. And it really started to desensitize us to hearing it. And even though it was just an exercise, it set us up for the rest of the weekend to hear no and to not take it personally and to be like, okay, they have their reasons for saying that. It has nothing to do with me. It's totally fine.
I've had this experience when I was a booked artist at an event where, for whatever reason, someone came up to me and asked me to dance. I had my reasons. This person smelled of alcohol. I had heels on and they didn't seem stable enough to dance with. Like I felt like they would put me off balance and I needed to protect myself. And I was also waiting to dance with another person that I was really looking forward to. And this person came and asked me to dance, and I said, I'm actually waiting. I was trying to be very polite and gentle in turning them down, but they were very insistent. Grabbed my hand, pulled me onto the dance floor, danced with me. I gave it my all. I was smiling the whole time because I'm like, I am an artist. I shouldn't give them the experience that I've had before where an artist gave me zero energy and it really felt awful, right? So I tried my best, even though this person didn't accept my no. And then we were done with the dance. I said, thank you, went back to where I was standing before. That was that. I was just like, that was a weird experience because this person was so insistent on dancing with me, even though I clearly didn't want to. But that's that, right? And then a month later, I see this person posting on social media saying, oh, I went and I asked a booked artist to dance, and she was waiting for someone else, and she just so rude to me and said no to me. I have never had someone be as rude to me in my life, bitch, blah, 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 and all this. I'm like, that is not what happened, because if your ego was that hurt, why did you still pull me for a dance and dance with me?
Yeah, like why did he still completely disregard your no, violate your boundaries?
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
complained about it.
That was not okay.
Well, yeah,
Wow.
so I've been on the receiving end of that as well. And I think all I can say to that is people need to accept no's better. Because a lot of people take a no to mean that they're not good enough. But it's not that. It's not that at all. Most of the time, a no has more to do with the person saying no than the person receiving the no. And I think I want to just shift gears a little bit and talk about the responsibility of organizers a little bit. I see that, especially in Europe, organizers hire people that are going to sell tickets. This is where that implicit expectation comes in that, oh, if I buy a ticket, I'm going to get to dance with this artist, this famous person whom this organizer has hired explicitly for the purpose of dancing with me. I'm exaggerating, but I think this is the expectation that gets set when organizers hire certain people, especially solo male artists, because when they get hired and they come into a workshop, they sometimes ask a really, really good female social dancer to help them out, or a female teacher who wasn't even hired or paid at the event to help them out, or they pull in attendees from the crowd to show the moves. I feel in that case, the quality of instruction suffers. So then the artist is telling the crowd, I am not here. My forte here, my biggest offering here isn't my classes. Then what is it? The attendees are going to wonder. And they're going to immediately jump to this artist's main offering. The reason that they were mainly hired, we talked about the Build-A-Bear, the main reason they were hired was to social dance. Because their classes, who cares? They're not catering to the follow population in their classes. Yeah. And followers are the ones that are funding these events for the most part. Yeah. So then they are thinking, okay, then the reason you're being paid is to dance with the follows in the social dancing scenario. And I think that's, in a way, the environment that organizers are creating. When I look at North American events, a lot of lineups have a 50-50 mix of female and male instructors. And more often than not, the male instructors, if they're doing a solo workshop, as in only they are listed on the workshop, they often tap in one of those female instructors, and very often they ask the female instructors to be a co-teacher, not an assistant. That sets the expectation to the attendees that, okay, he's here to teach, not just be an amusement park ride for me. And then there's organizers, especially in North America. I'm sure some organizers are also doing this in Europe, where they hire very conscientiously to create a certain vibe for their event. They only hire certain types of instructors. Let's say they want to create the kind of festival that's more set towards inspiring attendees and creating amazing class offerings, right? They will hire exactly those set of instructors. Not instructors known for social dancing, but instructors who are amazing teachers, have won competitions, and bring all this to the table, right? And their forte might not be social dancing. And then there are events that are one really, really big, important event that's close to my heart is Prairie Reunion in Saskatoon. I went there last year. I'm going back next year as well. Leah is a dear friend. And this is one of those events which touts the vibe, which talks about the people, right? Which talks about, here's what you can expect from this event. Everyone's going to be kind and gracious and warm and welcoming. They don't talk about, you're going to get to dance with all the best artists. You're going to have all these amazing high-level dances, 1 hour long dances. No, they talk about, we bring homemade snacks. We have carpool rides. We have tents, cozy places within the venue where you can chill out. Little games that you can play to connect with community, that's the vibe that they have for the event. And the organizers very careful in hiring people who set the tone for that event in that way. So organizers have that responsibility to the community to present events that are packaged in a certain way so the attendees know what to expect from the event. They need to hire people that are not just quote unquote going to sell tickets, but people that cater to that certain product offering that the organizers are presenting.
Yes. Yes, and there are a number of smaller festivals that do that, and it is easier to do that with smaller festivals. I think when festivals get too big, when the organizers get too greedy because they're trying to make the most money and they're trying to throw the biggest party, I feel like that's when it gets really hard for people to connect in general. But yeah, you're right.
And I think that responsibility falls onto the attendees. Do your due diligence. Like Annabelle, make a manifestation list. See what's priority to you. If you're spending all this money, what's going to make you happy? Give it a little more thought. Don't just think, Dway's on the flyer. I'm going to go to this festival and have a 1 hour long dance with Dway.
Yeah.
Right? Think about what you want when you go to an event. Do you want to have amazing social dances with people, with peers, with people from all over the place? Find an event that creates that kind of welcoming vibe where you get to dance with people, where people aren't just dancing with their friends or artists, right? Find that kind of event. Find an event where the vibe is like that. Talk to people, figure it out. If you want the kind of event where there's amazing classes and you're going to get challenged, you know you're going to go to every single class and learn and grow as a dancer and set up little training sessions with your friends to practice what you learned. Find those kinds of events. If you want to focus on connecting with the local community wherever you're going, and you know that local community is super welcoming, and that's what's going to bring you joy, go find those events and spend your money there. For you to be spending all this money and expecting something that the event cannot even offer, let alone guarantee, right? I think there is some due diligence that needs to happen before you spend this amount of money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's really important for everyone to, do their due diligence, do their homework, research the events, kind of get to know the artists. Go to their social media, see what they're all about, see what the artists prioritize. My new favorite thing on social media right now is seeing artists post not their demos from class, but parts of their actual class. Because that way it's like you get a little sneak peek into their workshop. You get to see how they teach, you get to see the techniques they use, you get to see the language they use, and it's really cool. Like, there was this couple, I haven't been to any of their workshops yet, but after seeing like a little snippet, a little reel of their workshop on their social media page, now I'm like, okay, I really want to go to their workshop now, because
Drop some names.
It's Val and Sarah. Yeah,
I really like
go
that they
check
give
them out.
really, really good instruction for follows.
Another couple who does this is Joey and Shaw. They also post snippets of themselves teaching, and I think that is so important, because you get to see these people not just as dancers, because honestly, anyone can do a good dance. Anyone can post a good demo. It's like, yes, you can dance. We get it. You are amazing dancers. What does that do for us? I mean, besides the enjoyment and the pleasure of watching you dance, how does that benefit me? Because yes, I know you can dance. How does that help me as an attendee? Like, I want to know that you're able to teach me how to dance like that. And by showing, snippets of your classes, that really shows what kind of a teacher you are. And that's really cool. And I appreciate that.
I'll give you another tip on that regard. So I know that artists, especially like creme de la creme top tier artists who have a certain reputation image to maintain, they only really post really, really well edited demos with their own partner. But I have seen that there's quite a lot of artists too, and it's a rarer breed, and they post or accept collabs of themselves social dancing. And that's something you can look at as well as an attendee, because if this person is okay with publicly showing that they social dance with attendees, And yes, the dancing is not going to look as good as it does in a demo because it's a new person, even if they are an amazing dancer, if both people are still amazing, it's their first dance, they need time to connect, they need time to understand each other, it might not all be there. But if you see an artist posting videos of themselves social dancing with attendees, to me, that is a
Yeah.
green flag. And
Yes,
that shows
absolutely.
that that's something that they feel proud about. That's something that they enjoy and want the world to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Okay. All right. Good to know. So, we have stated the problem, we have talked about the problem, and I think now is it time for us to talk about some solutions. I feel like we've already mentioned some solutions. So, organizers setting clear expectations in their contract about what exactly they expect from their artists. So there shouldn't be any surprises, like all the artists get there and then the organizers are like, oh, by the way, you also need to do this. Or by the way, we also expect this from you. Like that is not okay. And artists, if you meet organizers like that, like you need to speak up, and you also need to not work with these organizers, like boycott these organizers. That is not okay. Like none of that should be sprung on you when you're already there. Like seriously not okay. And also artists need to have their own contracts stating their terms and conditions, expectations, and their limits. So like I will do this, I will not do this, and be like as clear and as explicit as possible. So like every single artist needs to have a contract. Like I don't think anyone should be winging it nowadays. Also, why don't artists form an artist labor union? I mean, actors have a labor union, musicians have a labor union. I feel like dancers in other arenas have a labor union. I feel like ballet dancers have a labor union. I think it would be a really good way to set standardized rules about work hours, pay, and representation. And I think representation is also really important. So, like, an event must have, for every 4 male DJs, there must be 1 female DJ.
The bar is too low. My God.
I know. It should be for every 2 or 3 male DJs. I don't know exactly what the ratio of male to female DJs is right now, but there should definitely be rules about representation. And I think having a union is, maybe the only way to make that happen. Because these rules need to be standardized, because right now all organizers do things differently. It's like everyone is doing their own thing, everyone is winging it. And I think some standardization would be really good in this scene, considering that this scene literally exists worldwide. So this dance
think
is,
we need,
yeah,
I do think we need some kind of set of professional rules and ethics that everyone can agree upon.
yes.
For example, making sure that whatever expectations are set forth when a person is hired, that those expectations aren't multiplied when that person arrives on scene. This should be a standard expectation. It should be a standard professional ethic guideline that needs to be followed by everyone. It is not, as you've seen.
Very true. I know that for Tarasho specifically, there is a Tarasho teacher certification that Liliana and her partner do. But as far as every other genre, there was not one.
I think, having that kind of certification also can be problematic because what about someone who was born and raised in Angola, has been dancing samba all their life? Do they need to go undergo a certification program? That seems like colonization to me.
Yes, that's true.
So I think the problem itself is that there isn't like a standard recognition of what a Kizomba teacher, what an urban Kiz teacher is supposed to be. When organizers hire someone, they aren't looking at years of experience. They're not looking at, has this person, grown their own community or built students from scratch?
I think everyone who calls themselves an artist, and that includes DJs, need to have a portfolio of their work. And that is how they will be judged. So that portfolio will include, samples of their work, videos of their teaching videos, their dancing videos, all of their previous bookings. It's almost like a resume. Because when you think about it, that's how everyone else applies for work. They have a resume, a CV, they have a portfolio of all their previous work samples. So that will be the entry to the union. And the union will be open, to everyone.
That would be the expectation in an ideal world. I think this is where you and I need to examine and understand the why. When we looked at that long list of 10 things that an artist is expected to do, and it's taxing on the body, it's taxing on the mind, it's taxing emotionally. And on top of that, you're not paid like some Fortune 500 CEO. You're barely making ends meet as a mid-level artist, let's say, right? I'm not talking about creme de la creme. I'm talking about someone who is a regular artist doing it full time. You're barely making ends meet, and you're putting yourself through the ringer, right? And the shelf life of an artist, like you're not retiring at age 45 with enough retirement savings to last you, right? This is not a profession where you are minting money. Even after going through this much hard work and this much mistreatment, and I've heard some artists complain about how they haven't even gotten proper food in the entire festival. Like 2 slices of cheese and bread, that's all I got for the whole day. I've heard things like this. So the question then becomes, why are you doing this? Yeah. People who are hobby artists, like you said, people who have a full-time job. I have a full-time job. That's why I have the luxury and privilege to pick and choose who I work with.
Yeah. So like you said, there are people who do this full-time, and then there are people who do this part-time as, this fun hobby, and they still have a full-time job that supports them. So there's not that financial pressure that comes from being a full-time artist. Because if you're a full-time artist and you do this full-time, then yes, you are more likely to put up with shit because you need the money, you need the bookings, but it's also still a choice. Like, you're still choosing this to be your full-time job. You can just as easily choose something else to be your full-time job and then maybe do this part-time as a hobby. And then hobby artists, like they're complaining, but for them it's literally optional. You can afford to pick and choose your stuff, and you can also choose another hobby. Like, nobody has to do this. Nobody's holding a gun to anyone's head here. So people are all doing this because, they want to, because they get something out of it. Because, I don't know, maybe they enjoy being this, hotshot celebrity. They enjoy seeing themselves on the flyer. They enjoy seeing themselves, hanging out with the boys behind the DJ booth, or, having a line of dancers waiting to dance with you. It's gotta, I imagine it feeds the ego in some way.
Half these men who have the long line of women waiting to dance with them, if they walked on the street, not a single woman would look at them. So they're in this for a validation that they don't receive outside of the dance world. In the dance world, they're like, oh my God, hi, you're so-and-so, like I see your videos on social media. I really want to dance with you. Out on the street.
Yes. This is so worth repeating. These so-called celebrities in the dance scene, they're not famous outside of the Kizomba community. Nobody knows them outside of the Kizomba community. Nobody's asking for their autograph. The paparazzi are not chasing them down. They're not on the cover of any magazine. They're literally nobody.
Getting likes on a dating app.
Yes, they can't do well on the dating app, so they've come to dance Kizomba. They've come to the Kizomba festival. Kizomba scene is literally their dating app. Like, the dance community is their dating app. Yeah. When a man is a good dancer, a lot gets forgiven. When a man can make a woman feel good and feminine and safe and ooh la la, a lot gets overlooked. You don't have to be tall. You don't have to be good looking. Hell, you don't even have to have money.
And you don't even have to have hair.
And you don't even have to have hair. You don't have to have morals. You don't have to have integrity.
You don't have to have emotional maturity. The list could go on.
The list can go on. As long as a man can dance And the men in the kizomba scene and urban kiz scene have discovered this, and they have been cashing in on this fact for years.
Yeah. So I think that's when you examine the why, you get a lot more answers on why this is happening, why this is perpetuating, right? Because a lot of these people are in it for reasons that are beyond the dancing itself, that are beyond teaching, that are beyond connecting with people, which is what the dance and the artistry of a kizomba artist is supposed to be about, right? You teach,
Yes.
you dance, you social dance, you connect with people, you make people feel good in their hobby. That's what's supposed to be. But when you attach your own self-worth, own ego, own sense of validation to your positioning on a flyer, I think then you tend to miss some of those steps. You forget that you're on the flyer, that has certain connotations. It means that you bring your all into your classes. It means you don't treat not so good looking women who are not in your preferred age range with disdain. You don't make people
Yes,
feel
or your
bad because,
preferred weight range.
yeah, yeah. And it also pertains to social dancing. You're on that flyer that has connotations that people coming to pay and funding your position on that flyer, they're expecting certain things from you. And one of those things is social dancing. And as an artist, you can position yourself in such a way that you can say on social media or openly or to friends or by bringing, this is the worst way and least recommended way, bringing bad energy into your dances. This is the worst way. But I've seen definitely some male artists do this. I don't think I've ever seen female artists do this. Personally, I haven't seen it, but I've seen male artists do this, bringing really bad energy into their dance. You know, I don't want to dance with you. You know it. I know it, right? And then they don't get asked because what kind of person wants to feel that way when dancing with another person, right? So that's how they set their brand up, right? And then they complain, all these people have these entitled expectations of wanting to dance with me. Or they say, no one wants to hire me, no one wants to work with me. Well, they are looking for a certain brand and you don't present that brand. Because your reasons for getting hired are different than the reasons that you are being hired.
Yeah, absolutely. So, dear artists, please address your mental health with your therapist and not your social media forum. Do not make it the attendee's responsibility. Please be proactive in advocating for yourself and your needs with the organizer and the attendees. You need to set clear expectations and boundaries and then honor them. If you are a people pleaser who can't say no because you feel bad and you don't like disappointing people and you are not able to speak up in a respectful and healthy way, please go to therapy before you step on the dance floor. Please put your mental and physical health first. Organizers need to be honest about what they are advertising to the attendees. You need to call artists teachers and DJs and focus on what they are hired to do. The teachers are hired to teach workshops and privates, and DJs are hired to play music. They're not hired for social dancing. They're not taxi dancers. So redirect the social dance focus to taxi dancers and other attendees.
Hosting an event in December and the folks that I've hired for that event. Now, the focus for my event is to bring good teachers and good vibes to my community. So I've hired North American artists whom I've seen them teach. I've seen how they behave at events. I've seen how they interact with attendees. I've seen how much they social dance. In my contract with them, however, I don't mandate any social dancing. I have, however, asked that they be present for the whole duration. Actually, not whole duration. I think most of the night of the social dancing that's happening, I've asked them to be present there. Just with their energy. It doesn't have to be that they have to be present the whole time dancing with people, because to me, dancing isn't the only way to bring good vibes and make attendees happy. That's what I believe. And so I've asked the people that I've hired to be present and to bring those vibes. No compulsion on social dancing. So that's another way that artists could say, this is what I'm trying to create. This is the offering that I'm putting forth. And you, as my hired contractors, I want you to help me make this vision come true.
It would also be great if the organizers had a clear code of conduct for the attendees and the artists. So that could mean no cues to dance with artists. I mean, the cues should be banned. No harassment, no inappropriate touching, respecting someone's no the first time, respecting people's personal space, etc. I feel like everyone signed off. If everyone signed off on this code of conduct, then everyone would be going into the event with the right mindset. Like, these are the expectations for my behavior. That way they can take personal responsibility for their behavior because the expectations have already been made clear.
Yeah. There's also other solutions that artists could implement, and I've seen this done very well in North America. One is switch hour, and you can ask artists to kindly be present for switch hour as a request, or you can even pay them for being present at switch hour, a nominal rate, not their full teaching rate. In switch hour, what the DJ does is they play 2 to 3 minutes of the song and they switch songs. They don't mix songs, they play songs in discrete manner, similar to how things are done in salsa bachata socials. And at the end of each song, it is mandatory to switch partners. So a whole hour in the festival every single day where you get to dance with more people you would generally not get to dance with. And I think that's a really great way of making sure you create this kind of welcoming vibe. People connect with one another. People might get to dance with artists because the artist is having 30 songs in 1 hour, so your chances of dancing with the artist definitely increase. There's another solution that organizers can implement, which is, again, pay the artists for, say, 2 hours of social dancing per night, where they have a wristband, which turns on and off, or they keep the wristband on, which means that, hey, ask me to dance, I'm here to dance with everyone. That could be another way that they show that this artist is open to dancing with everyone. And, or without even paying them, you can say, hey, this is something I would like at my event. Is that something you can provide without having to pay extra, right? Is this something that you could do? Some artists may say, yes, yeah, I love dancing with attendees. I don't want to be policed on the hours, but, you have my word of honor that I'm going to spend at least 2 hours every night with the wristband on, indicating to attendees that I'm open to be danced with.
Okay. I like that. I really like those solutions. I think both of those solutions are very great. Yeah. I also have this wild idea if the attendees weren't allowed to ask the artists to dance at all. Like, what if the artists were given the directive, like, okay, the attendees are not going to ask you, but that means that you, for like this specific amount of time, 1 to 2 hours, like, you have to ask them. I think that would give the artists the choice and the agency to dance with people. That way, if they'll also see someone like, oh, okay, I've danced with you at like 2 other festivals, like this month, so I'm not going to ask you to dance. But, I don't know all of these people. Let me ask with all these new people. Let me dance with these new people who I don't know yet. I think that could be a solution.
I think it would also humanize artists a lot more, because then it also could create the situation where attendees might say no to the artist, and they have to come to grips with receiving that rejection as well.
Yes, absolutely. And there's also this factor that we don't often think about, but I personally experienced as a new dancer, is that new dancers sometimes don't know who the artists are, because they may see them on the flyer, but then they may not recognize them in person. And I think there's like this sweet innocence to that, because you don't know who the artist is and you do see them as humans. And, they're not these celebrities to you yet because you're just so clueless and oblivious. And you may not even really care about the artist because a part of you knows that you're not even on their level, or you're nowhere near their level. So you're not even trying to dance with them for that reason.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people get a little too nervous as well when they feel they're about to dance with an artist, and taking that nervousness away from that situation might also be better for them to form that connection with another human being.
Yeah, that's very true. Because at the end of the day, we're all human. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for this amazing conversation. Thank you so
Thanks
much
for
for
having me.
joining me. Yeah, it was such a pleasure. All right, guys, let us know what you think about our solutions and how they compare to the Book Your Dance app. And if you like what you heard today, go ahead and give us a review and subscribe so that you get the future episodes. And yeah, thanks for being our listeners, and we'll see you in the socials. All right, bye.